Dr. Doom, born Victor Von Doom, is the nemesis of Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four, and one of the most iconic comic book villains ever created. He first appeared in issue 5 of the original Fantastic Four run, and would go on to antagonize the greater Marvel Universe in addition to the Fantastic Four themselves. One of the most consistently interesting things about Doom, however, is how versatile of a character he is. He's not solely a cartoonishly evil mustache-twirling villain, but has layers to his character that informs how he tends to operate. Doom grew up in the fictional nation of Latveria, where the disparity between the poor and the aristocratic was large, to say the least. Seeking power to help free her family and those persecuted like them, Doom's mother Cynthia Von Doom made a pact with Mephisto. This, however, went sideways, and Cynthia instead accidentally killed a bunch of village children in addition to her intended targets, her pact's caveat being that Mephisto would grant her power, but not the ability to control it. She was stabbed by a survivor of the attack and died shortly afterwards, her soul now belonging to Mephisto. His father, Warner Von Doom, was a doctor, who was tasked with saving the life of a baron's ill wife under threat of being killed if he failed. Warner was unable to save her, unfortunately, and he took a young Victor and fled into the Alps for safety. While they were saved by a family friend, Warner died soon after, leaving Doom orphaned. Later down the line, he would come across one Reed Richards in college. Reed was the only person that even approached, if not eclipsed, Victor in terms of intelligence, and he did not like that. While constructing a device that would allow him to free his mother's soul from hell, Reed walked in and noted that some of Victor's calculations were off, and warned him that the results could be catastrophic. Doom dismissed those concerns and continued his work, only for the machine to backfire as Reed had warned, exploding and permanently disfiguring his face. After being expelled and a stint with some Tibetan monks, Victor forged himself a set of powered armor, complete with his now iconic mask, and adopted the moniker of Dr. Doom, with his first order of business being to overthrow the Latverian regime and establish his own, where he still rules today with a firm but ultimately fair fist. While he's absolutely the nemesis of the Fantastic Four, Doom is one of those characters that's antagonized nearly everyone in the Marvel Universe, from Luke Cage to Spider-Man to even Squirrel Girl. He fits in just about any scenario in the Marvel Universe, and that's part of what makes him such a versatile, enduring character. As far as Capcom fighters go, Dr. Doom first appeared in Marvel Superheroes in 1995. He's for the most part an unplayable boss character in the original arcade release, being the last challenge in the arcade ladder before Thanos. He is technically playable in the arcade version if you were able to get the arcade operator to turn on the dip switches enabling boss select. But it wasn't until the console ports on Sega Saturn and PlayStation, about a year or two later, that he'd be freely selectable, at least with cheat codes. Doom's moveset and position as a boss character here seems designed to be his attempt to relieve you of your collected Infinity Gems. His AI tends to use his zoning moveset to its fullest extent here. He'll even camp up in the top corners of the screen and keep away with plasma beams and photon shots. It's a small thing, but it shows that Capcom really understood this character. Doom sitting in the background, watching the pieces on the board move until he can come in and usurp power, that's straight out of the Secret Wars playbook. Doom's voice actor in Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is Lauren Kennedy, who also provided the voice of Magneto in the same games as well. His theme song in Marvel Superheroes is a surprisingly mellow theme that goes hand in hand with his stage, a submarine. One of my favorite little details in this track is how the little sonar pings from the submarine are incorporated into the song itself. It's one of the best themes to come from the Marvel fighters Capcom's developed and one of my favorites. Maybe I'll do a music ranking video for this series one day. With all that out of the way, let's get into the moveset. As I mentioned earlier, Dr. Doom uses a mostly zoning-based moveset. He is absolutely capable of rushdown, but by and large, he works best when he's keeping his opponent at bay, though the farther in the series you go, the better his rushdown capabilities become. Heavy Punch in the Air has Doom use his sidearm. It's hard to get this to actually come out if you're not using this from super jump height, but it's a full-screen multi-hitting projectile if it does. In the comics, Doom has been known to keep all manners of sidearms on him, particularly in his earlier appearances, where he usually kept one to neutralize any of the Fantastic Four's powers. Heavy Kick is Doom's foot dive attack. This makes for a good aerial combo ender, though it doesn't have the horizontal distance it gets later on in the series. Quarter circle forward and punch is Plasma Beam, a large single-hit beam projectile that can also be done in the air. In the comics, Doom's gauntlets can project all kinds of energy, so this is 100% in line with that. Half circle back and punch is Photon Shot, and like Plasma Beam, this can be done in the air. While Plasma Beam is a decent keep away tool, this is the attack you'll be primarily doing your zoning with. The way it fans out adds to its versatility, and it also combos cleanly into his hyper combo. Doom's molecular shield is done with half circle back and kick. Most people are familiar with the Marvel 2 version of this move, but the Marvel Superheroes version is pretty great too. It does a good amount of damage up close and can OTG, but the real fun comes from how much chip damage it does. At first glance, this seems like an attack Capcom improvised for his moveset, but it actually does have its origins in the comics. One bit of tech Doom was known to keep on him in his earliest appearances was an intensified molecule projector. This was a device Doom built into his gauntlets that allowed him to hurl synthetic molecules at a target. Once the molecules came into contact with oxygen, they would expand in size and take the form of rocks. He first used this device in issue 20 of, hilariously enough, a book titled Marvel Superheroes. Quarter circle back and 2 kicks enables Doom to take to the air. He's freely controllable in the air, and it makes for a great place for him to run away and camp out with photon shots and plasma beams. Doom has used a variety of ways to fly over the years, though it seems that Capcom went with the twin jetpacks holstered to both of his hips that he occasionally used in the comics. Photon Array is Doom's sole hyper combo in this game, and it's a good one. It can be done in the air, comboed into from many of his aerial specials, OTGs, and does a stupid amount of chip damage if blocked. There's many valid applications for this one. Though Doom can't be easily accessed in the arcade versions, he does have his own unique ending sequence. Interestingly enough, the console ports have a glitch where Thanos' stage theme plays during Doom's ending, instead of his unique ending theme, which is in fact still on the disc for that game. To select Dr. Doom in the Saturn and PlayStation versions of the game, first clear arcade mode and save at least once. Once that's done, go to the character select screen and press down twice, making sure to hold down the direction with that second press. While holding down, press and hold in order light kick, medium kick, and heavy kick, and Doom's character portrait should appear on screen if you did it correctly. After Marvel Superheroes, Doom disappeared from Capcom fighters for a while, until finally popping back up in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I actually kind of want to get into that for a bit because the probable reason for him being absent is pretty interesting. So, if you're a longtime fan of the Marvel games, you might be aware of another character that got kept out of a few of the games because of licensing issues: Iron Man. In the mid-90s, Acclaim received exclusive video game rights to the character for the game Iron Man and XO Manowar in Heavy Metal, a crossover game featuring the titular characters from Marvel and Valiant Comics respectively in a 2D action side-scroller. The game is kind of mid, I really wouldn't bother with it. Anyway, the exclusive rights kicked in not too long after Marvel Superheroes release, so this tied up any appearances of Iron Man in any other games, outside of console ports of any existing games with him in it, like Marvel Superheroes itself. Looking at Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, there's 2 characters that stick out like a sore thumb on the roster: Cyclops and Omega Red, who notably are the only characters on the Marvel side not from Marvel Superheroes. Maybe Capcom just wanted to stick them in, but I think it's more likely that they stand in for other characters they weren't able to secure for the game. Cyclops also being a projectile-oriented Marvel hero makes him a really good stand-in for Iron Man, I'd say. So, what the hell did this have to do with Dr. Doom? Well, about a year later, Acclaim also received exclusive video game rights for the Fantastic Four, to produce a PS1 exclusive Fantastic Four beat-em-up, which Dr. Doom served as the final boss of. This game is also kind of mid, wouldn't recommend it. If Doom was tied up with Acclaim at the time, Omega Red's inclusion of Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter makes a bit more sense. They likely didn't go with Magneto or Juggernaut as replacements because of how much they'd been in their fighters up to that point already. What reinforces this for me is how the AI fighters in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter are paired up. Some characters are always paired up with each other, like Ryu and Captain America, or Sakura and Dan. One such pairing is Bison and Omega Red. It seems kind of random, but it makes much more sense when you imagine it was probably initially conceived with Dr. Doom in mind. A character nicknamed Dictator being paired up with an actual dictator? Yeah, that checks out. Anywho, Doom made his glorious return to Capcom fighters, and technically his first appearance in the Versus games with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Doom's Marvel Superheroes moveset is mostly kept intact, with only one move having its input adjusted. He gets a few new things though. First up, he gets a second variation of his foot dive that travels way farther horizontally. It has about as much utility as a standard foot dive and can be utilized in most of the same ways. He gets two new hyper combos in Marvel 2. First is Electric Cage, done with quarter circle forward in both punches. His second hyper combo is Spear Flame, which is done with a Dragon Punch motion in 2 kicks. Finally, his Photon Array Super is now done with a half circle back in 2 punches. It can still be done in the air as well. Like every other character in the game, Doom gets 3 assists. His first one is Photon Shot. His second one is Molecular Shield, and this one is easily his best. It's half of the infamous Strider Doom Trap, which involves locking down the opponent in perpetual block stun with a combination of Strider's Ouroboros Super and Doom's Molecular Shield assist. His third and final assist is Plasma Beam. Here are all of his selectable colors. Doom's final appearance in the series to date was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and its update, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. To say Doom sees a lot of usage in this game is putting shit really lightly. He's a capable point character, his zoning is solid and allows him to function as a great meter building battery for teams safely. He has 3 of the best assists in the game, with one of those assists flat out being the best one in the game. And he has a ton of synergy with the cast as a whole thanks to the aforementioned factors. If you're even remotely considering playing this game seriously, it's hugely beneficial to at least learn how to play him, as he will undoubtedly be a huge asset to your team regardless of composition. Doom is voiced by Paul Dobson in Marvel 3, who reprises his role as the character from the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes cartoon. I think he does a pretty fantastic job here.
Death shall be your reward.
His theme song here is an arrangement of his Marvel Superheroes theme, and it's absolutely one of the better remixes in the game. It retains that sense of not being overtly villainous, but still immensely powerful and driven. Hideyuki Fukusawa, the game's composer, definitely understood the assignment here. Like Marvel 2, Doom retains everything he had before, just with a few new input changes and some new stuff on top of it. Foot Dive is now done with the special button in the air, and like Marvel 2, he retains both variants of it. He can even combo the command normal version of it into the other one. Do note that the standard version also ground bounces, making for one of the easiest corner combos in the entire game. Doom's old standing medium kick was made into a command normal, hard kick. Like in previous games, this can still be used as a launcher. Plasma Beam is quarter circle forward and attack. and it's been buffed in that it now does multiple hits and can OTG if done in the air, making for great pickups into aerial Photon Array. Photon Shot is quarter circle back and attack, and it's about as good as it's ever been here. Like always, this can be done in the air. Molecular Shield is now Dragon Punch and attack, and it's still a pretty decent move here. Doom's newest and arguably most important attack is Hidden Missiles, done by holding back and pressing attack up to 8 times. Doom fires up to 8 missiles that go up to about super jump height, and then rain back down on the opponent. These missiles just straight up destroy dreams, man. They lock down, they can hold opponents in place for easy combo conversions, they can hit OTG, you can stagger them, they do it all. If Doom gets hit in the middle of calling them, he won't be able to fire any more from the batch he was preparing, but all of the ones he already called in the air won't disappear. So even if you interrupt this, you still likely have to retreat, or else you'll get clipped by a stray missile into possibly a full combo. Like in previous games, Doom can fly with quarter circle back and special, though his flight time is drastically reduced now compared to previous games. Photon Array is now quarter circle back and 2 attack buttons. Spear Flame is Dragon Punch and 2 attacks, mostly in line with its Marvel 2 incarnation. Doom's old Electric Cage super from Marvel 2 has been upgraded into a level 3 called Doom's Time, where he imprisons you in a capsule for damage before detonating it. While this isn't based on any one specific instance of this, Doom has a habit of building these kinds of containment capsules for use against any superpowered beings he sees fit to contain in the comics. All 3 of Doom's assists in the game are pretty incredible. First off is his Plasma Beam assist, arguably one of, if not the best beam assist in the game. Next up is Hidden Missiles, which is just flat out the best assist in the game. It's a big part of what makes the Morrigan and Doom shell so dangerous. Last but not least is Molecular Shield, which while being the most underutilized of his assists and a far cry from the usage his Marvel 2 version had, it still works incredibly well at covering approaches for rushdown point characters. Here's his standard outfit. His second color is based off of his Future Foundation outfit from Johnathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run. Next up, wait, hold on. Since we're talking about Marvel characters now, I think for everyone I do, I'll also throw in a comic book recommendation relating to the character. And for this video, I'm recommending Johnathan Hickman's Fantastic Four. It is legitimately one of the best modern comic book stories ever told. Even if you don't like comic books or think the Fantastic Four is corny or whatever, I legit think you should still give it a shot. Johnathan Hickman is an incredibly talented, incredibly thoughtful writer, and this is just flat out some of his best work, back to front. It also directly leads into some of his other work, some of which is some of my favorite Marvel stuff of all time, but that's a recommendation for another video. Even removing that it's a comic book out of the equation, it's just good-ass science fiction. If you have a Marvel Unlimited sub or whatever, you can start reading from there. The run technically starts with the Dark Reign miniseries for the Fantastic Four, but if that sounds confusing or daunting, just start with issue 570 of the Fantastic Four and go from there. It also ran concurrently with Future Foundation, abbreviated FF, which alternates with the main Fantastic Four book from its first issue. As it relates to this video, there's some bona fide badass Dr. Doom moments in that run, and you should absolutely check it out. Alright, back on track. Color 3 is based on the Cloak of the Hood. The Hood is a Marvel villain with a cloak imbued with powers from Dormammu. It's complicated. Color 4 is Doom's tattered outfit from Old Man Logan, an alternate universe story where Marvel villains more or less won, and an elderly, broken Wolverine aimlessly wanders through what's left of the world. Note the additional texture detail on the cloak to make it look more ragged. Color 5 is based off of Dr. Doom 2099, a story where what seems to be the Dr. Doom we know ended up in the Marvel 2099 future. It's complicated. Color 6 is based off of Death Mask, an alternate Deadpool with powers similar to Dr. Doom from Identity Wars, a Hulk, Spider-Man, and Deadpool crossover story. It's complicated. His alternate costume is his battle armor from the Doom War story, in which Dr. Doom invades Wakanda for the supply of vibranium, which naturally brings him into conflict with Black Panther. Doom is quite the trash talker in this game, as evidenced by his special dialogue with other characters.
You fight with primitive toys.
Don't worry, I'll stick to the mission.
Get ready to brawl!
A minor distraction. It is Doom who should be worshipped.
Ready?
Even gods fall before Doom's might. Earth's mightiest heroes. Bah!
Let's see who really has the better choice, shall we? Get ready to brawl!
Consider Doom merciful if you still draw breath. This dimension is not big enough for the both of us.
Ready?
Return to your own world, knowing that this one belongs to Doom. Doom's mystic powers are more than a match for your own.
You are but a mighty sorceress. Ready?
And they call you the Sorcerer Supreme? Ha! I shall send you back to the hellfire that spawned you, Blade.
Judgment is upon you, scum. Get ready to brawl!
Doom answers to no one, not even a so-called spirit of vengeance. There is no other law but Doom's.
Give up your life of crime.
Live and let die!
Laverians have no lawyers, only corpses. I'll make you wish you were facing Magneto.
Come on, X-Men. We got work to do.
Go for broke!
You scum! You still draw breath.
Doom's win quote against Arthur here is a reference to issues 149 and 150 of the original Invincible Iron Man run, the classic Doom Quest story. In it, Doom and Iron Man, after a tussle near the latter's time platform, end up stranded in the Camelot of Arthurian legend. And here's Doom's ending. I think Doom is unquestionably one of the most consistently enjoyable characters to play in this series. His flexibility between rushdown and zoning stays consistent throughout his appearances in the series, and moreover, Capcom succeeds at making this character as cool as they are in the comics. If I had to pick a favorite incarnation, I'd really have to go with Marvel 3. It's the ultimate culmination of all of the tools he's had in the series, backed up with amazing assists and incredible team synergy. And it's that latter point I think really reflects well on him. With how well he pairs with pretty much every character, he really is a shining example of how fun the team building element in these games are. Theory crafting different teams is just fun when you're factoring in characters like Doom that have a million different tools. While the skill ceiling for him is honestly pretty high when you factor in things like TAC infinites, he's also remarkably easy to pick up and play at beginner and intermediate levels as well. That's gonna do it for this video though. It was fun to finally do a different company's character in this series, and if I'm being honest, far less B-roll to record as well, so producing this was pretty quick. If you've got a character you want to see from either Capcom, Marvel, Tatsunoko, or SNK, tell me in the comments, and I'll see if I can make it happen if I'm not already working on it. Anyways, take care, stay safe, and please do make sure to like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel by appealing to the almighty algorithm. See you guys next video.